put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. As we continue to give God thanks for life, I am Julian Skeet.
And I am Adana Combi. It is indeed a good day to give God thanks and praise for being in the land of the living. It's Tuesday, 17th October 2023. Good morning, Julian, and what's been happening?
Good morning, good morning. It's that kind of feeling like, oh my gosh, the year is running away. We are heading quickly towards Tobago Carnival and straight into Christmas
yes.
of 2023, and before we know it, it's a new year.
I know, wow.
Certainly, indeed.
That's right.
But this morning, we are heading straight on over to our news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Julian and Adana. I am Biana Brebner, and here is your news in 90 seconds for Tuesday, 17th October 2023. PriceSmart is set to refund customers for unapproved credit card charges which occurred on October 13th. Customers noticed these charges over the weekend, and though they were reversed, some received incomplete refunds. However, PriceSmart identified the issue as a technical problem affecting multiple banks and merchants in Trinidad and Tobago. In addition, they mentioned fluctuating foreign exchange rates affecting refund amounts. PriceSmart pledged to collaborate with the banks to address customers' concern. Meanwhile, the Bankers Association clarified that no cybercrime occurred. It was a processing problem, and they are urgently working on a solution. Scarborough's Registrar General Office staff have regained access yesterday to the computerized birth and death certificate system after a 2-week dispute between senior workers. Chief Secretary Farley Augustine informed the Attorney General and the Prime Minister about the issue. The Attorney General is seeking legal advice for a quick resolution. Meanwhile, the Central Administrative Services for Tobago confirmed that the public services are available at Registrar General's office, with some service not fully reinstated. The Registrar General's office in Tobago is actively working on restoring services in affected areas. And finally, in the 2024 budget, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service received $2.93 million. The allocation was discussed in Parliament, covering officers' recruitment, police youth clubs funding, and police vehicles. MP Khadija Amin addressed the $1.5 million allocated to police youth clubs, emphasizing their role in deterring youths from criminal activities and requesting details on how the funds will be used. Minister Fitzgerald Hines explained that the central government's funding supplements funds raised by the youth club. Other MPs argued that more funding is needed for the police youth clubs nationwide, as the current allocation is insufficient to adequately support them. And that concludes your news in 90 seconds.
Thank you very much there, Biana, bringing us the news in 90 seconds. And indeed, it is, very hopeful to hear of some kind of resolution heading in the direction regards to this Registrar General's office situation. We continue to hope for the best, that there's a full restoration of the services.
Soonest possible time, yes.
Yes, that we have that in the soonest possible time. All right, viewers, at this point, we're heading on into our birthday shout-outs. Our birthday shout-outs today, Tuesday, the 17th of October.
Oh, and this is a belated birthday. Devon Miggins, known as Devon Adana. It was her birthday yesterday. Happy belated birthday to you, Devon. From all of us here at Tobago Updates Television.
Birthday blessings, Devon. I know she continues to enjoy the celebration.
Of course, of course. If you know her at all, you know she's celebrating.
Certainly.
Right, and we have Cherise Williams. It's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Cherise. We wish you the very best birthday possible today on this, your birthday.
Birthday shout-outs going out to Marlene Roach. And this is Marlene Roach. We want to wish you continued blessings and indeed coming from the entire Tobago Updates family.
And celebrating also is Kelly Toussaint Reed. Happy birthday going out to you from all of us here at the Tobago Updates Television. We wish you the very best birthday possible.
Birthday shout-outs, Kelsey. All right, and we have on screen Mr. Hype himself.
That's right.
Travis Williams celebrating a birthday today. We want to wish you indeed a birthday blessings coming from the entire Tobago Updates family.
And we must mention that he's the twin of Cherise Williams,
yes,
who went before.
Certainly,
so
certainly wishing them a happy birthday.
And this is Bernardo Thompson, known as Tam Tam. Happy birthday to you as you celebrate your birthday today.
Yes, and this is a birthday shout out, and this is a belated birthday shout out. And I know the celebrations that went off that would have been late last week, and I'm trusting that I suspect she's celebrating a little later because she was a little unwell,
right.
But I'm trusting that indeed she's doing better now, and want to wish you a happy birthday. And still, I want to tell you, even if you wasn't too well on the birthday, enjoy the celebrations all now as we continue to give God thanks for life. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sandra or Tony. And we want to wish you a happy birthday, Sandra or Tony, and indeed God's continued blessings.
And we're wrapping up the birthdays with Mr. Clayton Clark. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday to you, Clayton, coming to you from all of us here at Tobago Updates Television.
Yes, indeed. Shout outs to Clayton Clark today, my colleague in Rotary, and also he's in the media space as well here in Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago. So we want to wish you continued blessings. Yes, indeed, recognizing all those persons out there. And even for those of you that didn't submit, we want to wish you a happy birthday and trust that you continue to enjoy the celebrations.
That's right. All right, so Julian, we're having conversations today. Who are we speaking with?
Well, we get the conversation started with Gary Griffith, former Commissioner of Police, and we're speaking about the TTPS increased budget allocations. We continue the discussions with Andy Clinton, and that's chairman of the West End Taxi Association, and we're speaking Tobago Carnival 2023. Our readiness for that as or rather I should say their readiness as the West End Taxi Association. And we will close with Dr. Paul Crooks, World Food Day Committee member. As you know, it's happening this week. It goes down this week, World Food Day 2023. So we look forward to those upcoming discussions.
That's right. Really interesting conversations for you today. Ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to continue to stay with us. We thank you that you stay with us every morning as we present the show to you. And we are heading on into Tobago in Focus. And we ask you to continue, of course, to share the live, share the live, share the live. Tobago in Focus.
The Unemployment Relief Program is not the same one you knew many years ago. Program Coordinator Mr. Nairon Leung gives us insight into the diversification as well as different sectors that exist within the unit.
Well, the URP program, it's a fairly huge, one of the more, I would say, larger units within the THA, right? It is constructed of 6 units, and it falls directly under the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries, and the Urban Development, right? The units that makes up the URP are the construction unit, the environmental unit, the Women for Women program, which they would provide janitorial support to over 35 schools in Tobago and other THA offices, right?
He stated, unbeknownst to many, the revenue-generating sectors of URP would have generated over $200,000 in the last World Food Day. These funds were generated over a record-breaking 2 days. Despite naysayers and negative commentary as it relates to URP, Mr. Leung has a vision and several projects to embark on.
The vision 2023 and going forward, right? Under the construction sector, the construction section within the URP, right? We are presently partnering with the Buku Moravian Church, right? They have meted out to the division for assistance in constructing a home for a physically incapacitated couple, right? Both cannot work and they are members of the church, and they have formed themselves into a organization whereby they would seek to bring some kind of relief to this couple, right?
The project, marked as their flagship project, is being met with passion and dedication. Materials will be provided while URP workers will provide the labor. The unit is also embarking on a latrine eradication program along the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection. Leung emphasizes one of the reasons for the URP program is to assist the most vulnerable, socially and economically challenged individuals within the community, and their plan is to make the unit financially sustainable.
And welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. We're just at about 7:11 a.m. this morning, and we get started with our first interview. Mr. Gary Griffith, former Commissioner of Police, joining us online. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Yes, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Hear me okay?
Right. Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us here once again. We're diving into, and we're still speaking, the budget that would have recently been presented, and and the debate and so on. Certainly coming forward at this time is the consideration that there has been an increase in the allocation to the TTPS, and I want to get your perspective. Is that increase sufficient to be able to make the kind of change or dent, bearing in mind the challenges that are very obvious out there in Trinidad and Tobago at this point in relation to crime?
Yeah, sure. Good morning again. Well, there could actually never be enough. There will always be a need and a demand for more. But obviously, because of budget allocation, you have to try to cut and paste and try to do the best with what you have. When I was Commissioner of Police, in fact, at a time during COVID, when the police requirements would have been at its highest, the Minister of Finance, based on only he could think about it, decided to cut the budget allocation for the police service by over $300 million. And that's when we needed the police as much as we ever did, since probably 1990. But having said that, the numbers that you get in the budget allocation, it really is, it's comical. It is really false and misleading, because what happens is that the releases are never given to the police service, definitely. I was there as the Commissioner of Police for 3 years. So there will be budget allocation for, say, apart from the salary, $400 million for goods and services. And for the first 6 months, they will not even give it to the police. So as much as they will state what they intend to give, and they actually stated that there's an increase of $95 million, they don't give releases. So it's stating what you intend to put out in the budget, but don't give to the police service. The commissioner is then forced to try to run a business with 7,000 employees, 1,700 police vehicles, 120 buildings without a cent. No releases are given for the first 6 months, and it makes it difficult. That is when the suppliers will now pull back on fuel, electricity, IT, technology, meals for the recruits, uniform, maintenance of the vehicles. It cripples the police service. And I spend half of my time trying to plead with suppliers, do not pull the plug based on the incompetence of the government, putting up budget allocation, but not giving releases. And what happens because of that? After 6 months, they start giving you piece by piece. So if it's 400 million, they say they're going to give you for the year. And at the end of the year, they only give out 280 million. What they then state is that, listen, all you spent was 280 million, so that's all we're going to give you for the following year. So they reduced the budget allocation based on what you spent, but you could only spend based on what was released. So the whole concept of the budget allocation by this government, it is false, it is misleading. They deceive the country by claiming what they are going to give when they actually don't do that. As it pertains to the recruiting, this again is totally an embarrassment to Trinidad and Tobago, because what they have done is exactly what I did as the Minister of National Security in 2013 to 2015. I understood that trying to bring in 200 recruits annually, 100 every 6 months, it is not going to get us close to the increased establishment, because we lose 200 odd police officers annually through retirement, death, or whatever. So the only way we could have done that was to move the recruiting outside of the police training academy that could only allocate 100 at a time. I moved it to the Chaguaramas Convention Center, and we had the system. We were 300 odd recruits per batch. It was the closest we had to the established strength. But what happened, because of sheer pettiness by this government, they pulled the plug on that and went back to the academy after I left office as minister. So for 8 or 9 years, they never used the Chaguaramas Convention Center. Now that they've realized the only way it could be done is based on what Gary Griffith would have done 8 years ago, they're trying to reignite it. The unfortunate thing is, what they're not telling the country is to go back to the same Chaguaramas Convention Center that they mentioned by copying exactly what I did. It is going to cost the taxpayers over $30 million now to refurbish the Chaguaramas Convention Center, because it was ignored for the last 8 years. And that is not even in the allocation. So how can you say that you're going to move to another area to triple the recruiting when you have not allocated for the $30 million to refurbish the same Chaguaramas Convention Center?
Mr. Griffith, we've heard what you said, but what we're looking at right now is that the amount that was allocated to police youth clubs, right? We want to know, what do you think their role is in assisting in curbing crime in our society, and the allocation given to them, is it sufficient, and how would it be used to manage the upsurge of crime in our country?
Yeah, again, the police youth club, that 100 plus, it's a critical element towards reducing crime. Policing is not just about hard targeting, rapid response, patrols, high visibility, arresting. It involves what is known as secondary crime prevention, getting young persons to utilize their energies away from the life of crime. And that definitely shows the importance of the police youth clubs. Having said that, the commissioner of police, they need to think out of the box, which is what I did as commissioner of police. The budget allocation for police youth clubs would have been probably even less, but you would have seen how the police youth club never before seen to such an extent, because we had the Commissioner's Cup, which had hundreds of different teams, thousands upon thousands of young persons utilizing their energies on a sporting field, getting the communities to work together, getting persons in different neighborhoods and so forth to work together to be able to burn their energies on the football field. That was done through a lot of work and dedication through the police sports club, through I Support Our Service, which is bringing the private sector for them to understand the importance of working with the police service. And that is where the private sector comes in. The government can never give enough for a police service, but the private sector, through I Support Our Service, they were able to not just repair vehicles, see about air conditioning units, see about generators, paint the police buildings, provide certain things like papers and photocopying machines for the police stations, but also to assist in the police youth clubs. Unfortunately, that I Support Our Service was also pulled out. And with that, without the input of the private sector, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service would be cash-strapped, and obviously the youth club would be affected.
I know one of the areas that you delved off into would have been this indication to once again have an increase in terms of larger numbers. What role do you feel SRPs, in terms of Special Reserve Police, can play in terms of this fight against crime, based on they may be immediately available versus what will now be the preparations to increase the police force in terms of moving from that 300 to, I think it is 1,000 for the...
Well, again, the SRPs, people say certain things about the SRPs, but some of the officers closest to me were SRPs. They were very well trained, tactical. Some of them came from the defense force. Some of them were persons who were civilians, and that is why we need to think out of the box. The SRPs that I brought in were persons that may not have been just persons who were tactical, but persons who were competent in different aspects of human resource, finance, logistics, IT. And so you will not have the police officers being so well versed in those fields, but you were able to get civilians who are highly qualified, you made them SRPs, which is done around the world in all aspects, from forensic testing, fraud, data gathering, intelligence gathering. So you have those individuals who are qualified in those fields that will then work with the trained police officers who know policing. And that is done, and it's because of that type of synergy, making those persons SRPs, which critical towards what you would have seen just 2 years ago, the highest reduction in violent crime in 17 years. Public trust and confidence in the police had moved to 55%, and crime was the number 4 concern behind health, education, and the economy. So the SRPs can play a very critical part. However, the present administration in the police service do not see the importance of hiring civilians, making them SRPs, to have them work alongside the trained police officers. But having said that, I want to again remind the country that the same number of police officers 2 years ago are the same number of police officers now. So the importance is not for us to increase quantity, but to enhance quality. And that is what is not being done. There are no longer systems to measure the performance and make police officers accountable. These were the same police officers that the country loved, admired, respected, believed in, trusted. But if it is you do not put systems to, like, for example, put GPS tracking on the police vehicles, you're not. When last have you seen a police officer on the ground directing traffic? Because we are an operations center, we will be able to pinpoint every traffic congestion, send police officers out. We'll be able to put GPS on the police vehicles, see that they stay in their area of responsibility, so they will not be using the police vehicles for illegal escort services, to transport and to assist in trucks or whatever being escorted, or police vehicles going in the wrong areas to be able to assist in criminal elements, to protect them, making sure they stay in their area so that you can get a 5-minute response time. So it was the same number of police officers. Unfortunately, this Prime Minister, he made it known that his concept is to have police stations and to have lots of police officers in stations. So now we've gone back to the old-time policing, where you have 10 and 12 officers in a station, sitting down, waiting for people to come to a station to make reports, because they pulled the plug on the online reporting and the police app, which was the largest app in the country at the time, where people were giving information to the police, putting reports instead. So what you really need in a station is 1 or 2 officers alone, and the rest of the officers out there. That is why you saw such that high visibility, that rapid response. And people complained 2 years ago that they were seeing too many police vehicles, too many blue lights, too many sirens, because we made them accountable. So if that is done, there's not going to be that great demand to increase the established strength to the extra 1,400 that they are presently short of.
Does that mean you're not in support of that 15 million or so allocated in terms of establishing, according to my information, is the Riverine Police Unit, with regards to the Caranach Police Station?
No, not at all. In fact, I was the one who established the Riverine Unit after about 3 decades when it was pulled out. I was the one who established it. The Prime Minister, in fact, actually told me, he actually poked me in my rib when we opened the Caranach Police Station and I introduced the Riverine Unit for the first time after 3 decades in the police service. He said this should have never stopped. And he thanked me for bringing it back. And then he insisted that we need to put it in Tobago. And I said, yes, we already had vessels prepared to get to Tobago to be able to do the proper patrols required because of the virtual absence of some degree of law enforcement in Tobago. So that was set. And for 2 years, they did nothing. They did not provide any allocation for the Marine Unit after I reignited it. I established it over 2 years ago. So what they are doing is just a regurgitation of exactly what I had prepared. And again, this 50 million is not going to be enough to be able to provide the proper system that I had in place to make sure there was a proper Marine Unit in the police service for Tobago. So again, it is unfortunate that what they've done in their whole budget allocation, from the recruit intake, the Riverine Unit, speaking about community patrols, because they, as I said, they shut down the emergency response patrol, the community comfort patrol we had before, the vetting of the units, we already had that. We were doing polygraph testing. The most elite unit in SORT was also shut down. The scanners they spoke about, we had 2 mobile scanners. They pulled the plug in and refused to use it. And then the Diamond vessels, 2 of which would have gone to Tobago, they left it for 8 years, refused to use it. And those Diamond vessels that they spoke about in that budget allocation, I got it as a minister in 2015 at a cost of 1.2 billion less than the 3 OPPs, and the maintenance would have been hundreds of millions per annum less than it would have cost to maintain the OPPs. And those vessels, 2 of those 6, would have gone to Tobago, and that's where Tobago should have been secured for the last 8 years. But because of political pettiness, They refuse to use those damning vessels. 8 years later, you now come in a budget allocation to claim that you're now going to refurbish these vessels to have them utilized. So, I mean, everything that they said, their 8 points was all a regurgitation of things that would have been established as a minister in 2013 and 2015, and as Commissioner of Police in 2018 and 2021. They pulled the plug, they dismantled it, and now they're trying to reignite. But to reignite because of the maintenance cost, because of all of these things not being utilized for years, because of either incompetence or political pettiness, those things to refurbish is not in the budget allocation. So what it is basically, it's a shopping list, wishful thinking, and we're not going to actually see proper productivity in it.
All right, Mr. Griffith, you have mentioned some of the challenges that you faced, even in your seat as Commissioner of Police. And now with the proposed increased budget, what are some of the recommendations, some of the things outside of the things that you implemented during your tenure? What are some of the recommendations you would put forward to assist in curbing the surge in crime in our country?
Well, definitely. Let's focus on Tobago. The things that I would have put in Tobago as the Minister of National Security, bringing the National Operations Center, the concept of propping up a proper radar system, reigniting the Marine unit in the police service, putting Coast Guard vessels into Tobago. Those are the things that I would have seen and I would have seen as important, because I always stated as a minister and as a commissioner of police, a safer Tobago means a safer Trinidad. Because if at any time crime increases in Tobago, you have to extract more resources from Trinidad to take to Tobago, and then by doing that, now it will weaken the security resources and the law enforcement in Trinidad. So it's a lose-lose situation. Nothing has been done to protect Tobago, to prevent it from criminal elements entering Tobago. It's the most simple thing. We have it's atrocious that you will see someone going to Tobago. You come out of the car, if you go on the boat, you have to walk through the scanner to make sure that you don't have anything. But your cars are going onto the boat and it's not being checked. And that is what we should be doing. Weapons, drugs, anything could be entering these on these vessels through vehicles. You're not checking the vehicles, but in a cosmetic way, you're asking people to walk through scanner. That serves no purpose. What should be happening is, as I said as commissioner and as minister, which I have prepared, is that you need to put a proper K9 unit, sniff and search on every single vehicle that goes onto that port to get into Tobago. It must be checked properly, thoroughly, to ensure no drugs, no weapons enter. Tobago can be relatively safe. It is not difficult. And by doing that, having a marine unit to make sure that other vessels that leave Trinidad to get to Tobago can be monitored, a Coast Guard system, putting up a proper system for radar, a National Operations Center, having a system. I also had prepared a proper 999 system solely for Tobago. What happens now is anyone in Tobago, you call 999, it is fed to Trinidad, and then from Trinidad, it then goes back to a police station in Tobago. By that time, the crime has already been committed and they're gone. You need to have an isolated system that as soon as anyone in Tobago calls a specific 3-number call, it can immediately be fed to an operational command center in Tobago. And then you have the vehicles in Tobago, all GPS tracked, monitoring their area of responsibility to get an immediate response. That is what I would have liked to see in budget allocation towards securing Tobago. Nothing of that has been done, and it shows incompetence on the part of the government or just trivializing the importance of securing Tobago.
All right, thank you very much there, former Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith. Got to leave it there for this morning. Getting your input in relation to the allocation to the TTPS and more importantly, the general happenings and operations of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. So we want to say thank you very much again for joining us here on set this morning. And viewers, we want to remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Saturday, 21st October 2023 at 4 a.m. Enter The Hideout.
Boy, play rhythm.
Hideout. The Cooler Jam.
I just want to get my head lashed up. Think I play in this carnival? All I want is go.
This is the party you've been waiting for. Cooler than ever. Join the No Behavior crew and revel at the Argyle Waterfall compound. Jam by the water. Jam by your cooler at the only Juve party in the East. Hideout, the Cooler Jam.
Get over here! Get over here!
The countdown is on
For the greatest carnival weekend in the Tobago Carnival.
Friday, October 27th
to Sunday 29th. Come witness the release of the revelry and the ritual of the road in Tobago.
This our wee carnival.
This is our wee carnival.
It's time
For Tobago Carnival. Ready yourself for the ritual of the road.
Log on to welcometobago.com for more details. Tobago Carnival, Friday, October 27th
to Sunday 29th.
You know, who would I ever believe, Jessica could take care of a child,
I know, right? I'm a kinship foster parent to my nephew Malik.
Papa, you remind me of my grandmother, you know, when she used to take care of my cousins.
If I didn't step in, I don't know where he would have ended up. Plus, I get support from Children's Authority, training, and counseling.
But Jessica, you not married?
That doesn't matter. Once you have a safe home and you're related to the child, you're good.
So they just gave money to do this?
Yeah, they do give me some money.
So, Auntie, you can buy all my game for me?
Oh, I'm so sorry, Malik, but that money's to take care of you. Okay, smubble up, is.
I will not try. Mommy, you can buy.
No.
Wait, I didn't even finish my sentence.
About Lamborghini, you could get lamb stew for lunch.
Auntie Jessica could only come when you come in, because all them does do is talk people business.
Malakai, I'm only going on the bed.
But Mommy, the boy don't even live here.
Yeah, go to your bunkers.
What? Bunkers? Where's that?
I think I'm getting pretty good at this.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show. We're just at 7:31 a.m. this morning, and we're happy to welcome in this segment, joining us on set, Andy Clinton, and he's the chairman of the president of the West End Taxi Association, and we are speaking Tobago Carnival and, of course, the involvement of one of the stakeholders in relation to the Tobago Carnival. Good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning.
All right. So before we dive into the carnival details itself, I want you to start by giving us a little information into the West End Taxi Association.
Well, West End Taxi Association provide transportation service to the people of the West who live down in the West, Buku, Crown Point, Mount Irving, and even Signal Hill. So,
all right. Right. Tell us a little bit for those who might be looking on. What does that pricing currently range at? Not specifics, but a general in terms of broad view into the on the West End.
Well, basically it's $10 from Scarborough to Crown Point by the airport. Keenan Bonaco $9, and short job I should say $6, but originally it's supposed to be $5.
All right, good. Where's the West End Taxi Association and its operations currently located?
In front by the port.
Right.
Right, directly in front of the port and Chef Barbecue.
All right, excellent. And I know coming for the Tobago Carnival 2023, certainly Scarborough is now going to be the hub, and automatically that would have made you and your organization one of the key stakeholders. Tell us a little bit about your involvement within the consultations that have been taking place.
Well, presently, since that carnival will be taking place on that weekend, 27th to 29th, transport will not be accessible in Scarborough. So Shore Park by Scarborough Sec are located for our taxi service. So we'll be bringing passengers from their destination and dropping them off at Shore Park, and they can also access transport from there to wherever the location they're going on the West End.
All right, in terms of the western side of the island. So that's on the vicinity, that's in the vicinity there of the tennis court?
No.
Just to clarify.
Directly under Scarborough Sec School.
Oh, so that's the car park, right, the car park area there in terms of Scarborough Sec. General, what would be the general hours of operation like?
Well, since Carnival is as early as possible, early as 5 or before, you'll be able to access transport from there until Sunday,
All right. Make the distinction for us. I know there's usually a challenge between H cars versus P cars. Tell us about, what is your recommendation and guidance in terms of the use of taxis and transportation, particularly during this carnival season?
Well, I'll prefer that, the traveling public use taxis, but since the Pika is more dominant on the road these days, we cannot really tell the public who to travel with. But we as taxi drivers will really prefer if they travel with taxis on a regular basis because it's more, well, could I say safe or no?
Well, you're free to give
Well, I'll
your
say,
opinion.
in the event of anything, they are covered with the taxi.
So it takes me right to my next question. Tell us the benefits in terms of, if for the viewer and the listener looking on that might very well just say, whether I go with a either or, it doesn't make a difference. Tell us the benefits specifically as it relates to, in terms of taxis, as you just mentioned, in terms of being covered.
Well, if you travel with a taxi, and you get in an accident, which means you're being covered, once you pay, you're being covered under the insurance. So you will be able to be compensated if there's any damage. But with a Pika, it's not likely unless you're a family member traveling in a Pika also.
All right. And what I want to get from you as well, the support coming from your association in terms of its members. How do they feel about this shift or this move? Is it something you all are fully in support of? It took some convincing. Tell us a little bit how you came to that position as this being the best or the most strategic point.
Well, we would have preferred to be in Scarborough, but when we look at the routes for where the bands are passing, the ideal place is Shore Park. Because I would have preferred to have it in Sanctus Hill, but because of the route the bands are passing and the length of time, it will not be feasible for us to be in Scarborough at the point in time. So Shore Park is the best allocated place at this time.
All right. How does one become a part of the taxi association? So that I've been involved, but I recognize this is really the official route to go. How do persons get involved?
Well, we have meetings once a month for members. We have an executive meeting also once a month. If you want to be a member, you come, you join. There's a membership fee to join of $300 and on a month-to-month basis of $100 every member.
All right. And what are the benefits to be derived from being a member of the Taxi Association?
Well, since the organization is now trying to move ahead, we are looking at maybe in the near future we can see if we can get a bank or a credit union or something that will bring in funds so that the members will be able to be, well, if you want a loan, you'll be able to get it.
Right.
If you want to, recently, or we have where you can go by months and get a discount from parts that you're buying. So that is still in process right now.
All right. And what's the current membership like in terms of the Western Taxi Association?
About 25.
All right, good. In terms of those persons that are dedicated to providing you with that level of service.
Yeah.
All right. Further to that, again, we just want to remind our viewers the location that they can now that they will now have to work from in terms of movement. So is it that in order to head to other parts of the island, that they'd be connecting from that Shore Park area? How is that going to work? Because I know the traffic flow would be on the outskirts of Scarborough.
Well, for the other end, like Windward and Castaway, I think plans was made for those taxi drivers on those ends. So you might find some taxis up in uptown.
Right.
I'm not too sure, but and on the highway, you might get some further up by the garden side car park up there.
Right.
You might have some, but basically where I am concerned about is at West End at this present time.
All right. Any possibilities in terms of that there will be drop-offs happening on the highway vicinity or strictly pick up and drop off from the Shore Park area?
If a passenger want to drop off on the highway, but it will be on the top of Shore Park.
Right.
It would not be any further than that unless they decide to go the long route and go around to Plymouth Road and come down to by school. But still, I believe the police will put things in place so that no vehicles might not be able to come down there at a certain point to turn.
All right, excellent. In terms of when we look broadly at the Western Taxi Association, would you want to encourage additional persons in terms of getting involved, becoming a part of? What might be your words of encouragement or your information to those drivers that, that just do it part-time, they take a little chance with their PICA, etc., because they say they may not necessarily be able to, afford getting into the association? What's your advice and your guidance to those individuals?
Try and get a taxi badge. It is very important, a taxi badge, and it's the right way to go, right? Because using your private car for taxi is not the right thing to do, right? And I will encourage every picker to see if they can apply for a taxi badge, and I'm sure if their records are clean, they're going to get you.
Would you say that, when we even look at visitors to the island, tourists and persons who are not from here, that there's that greater level of confidence in terms of taxis versus what you might call taking a chance with a private vehicle?
Well,
because I'd like to think our visitors are encouraged.
what I will say is that from Western Taxi Association, the members, we want to provide excellent service to whether locals or foreigners come into our country. So the taxi service is looking to improve on the standard, right? Even if we could get a uniform, we are trying to work on that right now to see if we could get uniforms so that one of our members told me one time that we are ambassadors, right? And I look at that because when you come in a car, we basically know everywhere. And a tourist look to us. Sometimes tourists know more than us, but they are questioning us to see if we really know about our country,
yes.
Right? So I will say we want to provide excellent service to you and to visitors, and we must be recognized as a feasible taxi service in Tobago.
All right. How do you feel? How do persons reach out to you when they have concerns? Because sometimes we have the challenge that we see the customer service isn't always as it should be on the island, and certainly taxi services are not exempt from that concern. How do persons make complaints? Because I want to believe if you're part of an association, you represent the wider body. Is there some form of contact or communication that persons can perhaps reach out to you or the entity in itself if they have a complaint or a concern with regards to a particular driver?
Well, we have the email address, and presently the number that we use is my number because we're seeking to get a number for the thing. My number is 7830577. And the email for the taxi service is westerntaxiassociation@gmail.com.
All right, excellent. Is there any additional information you would want to share with us this morning?
Well, I'll say for the carnival coming up, let the public cooperate with the police, and to remember that the taxi stand is relocated on a temporary basis to Shore Park Unity School.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much there, Andy Clinton, President of the West End Taxi Association. And this is a reminder to the traveling public for the Tobago October Carnival weekend. The taxi stand will not be in Scarborough. As was said yesterday, the road make to walk on Carnival Day. So certainly the closest possible point, they will be at the Shore Park area, located right in the vicinity there of the Scarborough Secondary School on the car park that's just on the main road there. So certainly you are encouraged in terms of utilizing the taxi service from that area. And we want to thank you very much again, Andy Clinton, for joining us here on set this morning. Go ahead.
I would just like to say that we are trying to provide a sticker for all taxis that will be working on it, so to identify them by when they're coming in, a sticker on the windscreen. So
excellent. So you'll have an additional means by which to be able to identify these taxis. And as he mentioned, remember, when you travel with a taxi versus you have the opportunity in terms of there's the relevant coverage and so on for those who are a part of the the association. So certainly we trust that you'd make the choice that would seek ultimately to put you in the most comfortable position. So we want to say thank you very much again. And we are chatting here. We would have been chatting with Andy Clinton, president of the West End Taxi Association and one of the stakeholders that has been involved in the planning and the discussions as we work towards the Tobago October Carnival 2023. Viewers, we want to thank you so much for the continued love and support. Each and every one of you are joining us here on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. And as we head on out to a break, we want to remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Thank you.
Any drink at the bar, give me plenty. Calibre liquor shot at the century. Look, now the thing start. Me love me drinks to me heart and me send shots.
Mount Pleasant Credit Union Back to School Loan Promotion. Loans up to 15,000. Requirements: job letter and a payslip no more than 1 month old. Utility bill, copy of book list, salary deduction, 10% down payment for self-employed persons, evidence of income and expenditure, bank statement, 12 to 18 months, other supporting document. Promotion ends October 18. Contact us at 639-8375 or 8108 or check us out on www.mpcutobago.com or email us at loan@mpcutobago.com. Mount Pleasant Credit Union's Back to School Loan Promotion.
Tobago Carnival Caribbean Vibes presents Tequila Sunset. Tequila Sunset, October 27th. Scarborough Esplanade from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. It's a cooler fete like no other. Bring your squad and we'll take care of the vibe with your top TNT and New York DJs, surprise guest artists. Tequila Sunset will be an epic event you will never forget. Early bird tickets are $199 TT or $30 US. Get your tickets online on islandetickets.com or frontlineticketing.com. For more info, call 475-6218 or 754-7344. And New York, 917-561-9742. All drinks must be in plastic bottles and no ice or chaser allowed. Tequila Sunset, October 27th, Scarborough Esplanade.
When you don't know she might blaze a sharp like a razor.
I'm gonna be in Tobago.
Tobago Carnival.
Last lap, October 30th.
October 30th for last lap.
Yeah, my boy gonna be representing Jamaica. Barbados. From the Bahamas.
We're going on no Grenada inside that Tobago. We coming.
The countdown is on
For the greatest carnival weekend in the world.
It's time for
Tobago Carnival.
Friday, October 27th.
to Sunday 29. Come witness the release of the revelry and the ritual of the road in Tobago.
This our wee carnival.
This is our wee carnival.
It's time
For Tobago Carnival, ready yourself for the ritual of the road.
Log on to welcometobago.com for more details. Tobago Carnival, Friday, October 27th.
To Sunday 29th.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show on Tobago Updates. I am Madonna Kambi, and we continue conversations this morning, but we have a slight change in our program. We're speaking this morning with Miss Rayshon Pierre-Kerr, and she's representing TPAC, and today we're talking about Queen of the Road, a Calypso Rose musical. And if you know anything about TPAC, you know their productions are always something worth taking in. So we're speaking right now with Miss Rayshon Pierre-Kerr. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Miss Combi. Good morning, Tobago.
Right. So of course this is exciting stuff. I mean, we're celebrating a queen of Tobago, and we're talking about a musical, a Calypso musical, a production that is being done by the teams of this idea.
When you have hurdle the challenges that Calypso Rose has, systemic and otherwise. When you've made such an indelible mark on the nation and the region and the world, you're fitting of a celebration and a veneration in the way that Roma Spencer's The Calypso Rose musical celebrates, hails Rose's legacy, but also in teaches. So that is what the production is about. It is a musical sojourn of Rose's life from when she began in Tobago in Bethel, all the way to Barataria in Trinidad, and her voyage across the world, as well as her rise to Calypso royalty.
Right, and this is going to be produced through a musical. So you're going to take us on a musical journey from her start to where she is now, right? And I know, as I said, I know anything coming out of TPAC based on our experience, you know, it's very engaging to say the least. You know, it's very engaging. So tell us some of the things we can look forward to seeing or experiencing through this production.
You can look forward to singing. You can look forward to dancing, and I'm telling you, in the production, as in you will be the one doing that, because the musical, it is so explosive. It is so much of an accessible history lesson. Almost all of Rose's classic song, Fire Fire, tempo, finds its way inside of the musical piece. And to add to that, we've mounted through O.J. Richards a live orchestra with musicians from right here in Tobago, and of course TPAC's trained performance corps. So everything about it will be epic. It will be explosive. It's an experience you cannot miss, and it is a show for the entire family.
Right, right. And of course, it's happening this Friday.
This Friday
at the Shore Park complex, right?
Yeah.
And it starts 7 p.m. promptly, guys. And tell us about ticket prices and where we can access tickets.
So tickets are currently, because this is a one-time showing and it is the world premiere of the play, the tickets are valued at $100. Children under 12 and under, are free of charge, but they're still required to have a ticket. School children are also free. The access routes are islandetickets.com or at the Shore Park Cultural Complex box office. If you want, you can call in TPAC at the using the number that is on the flyer at 750-0692, and you can have your tickets reserved. Tickets will also be sold on the day of the show. So you have myriad options. You have myriad options with which to get your tickets.
Right. And I find the price is a steal of a deal, because to produce something of this magnitude, I'm sure it takes a lot of resources in terms of effort, human resource, and every other thing. You know, so I mean, I want to encourage us, you know, to go out there and to support this event as we celebrate one of our stalwarts here, right from Tobago, a talent, of course, that we appreciate and a talent that we are proud of, that has graced us on national stages and has reigned to proclaim Tobago's name on national stages, so that, you know, puts us on the map out there in that kind of way. What are one of your favorite things about Calypso Rose, and also what is one of your favorite experiences in terms of putting this production together?
Right. It's so difficult to choose one thing. But as a young woman and as a practitioner, I think I draw from her tenacity. And one of the things that the play tells you, and it explains in very simple details, the way in which Rose was able to overcome her hardships, and she faced plenty of them. So from the story, I was able to appreciate what her journey was, as well as her perseverance. Calypso Rose is so perseverant, and you will get the fullness of it when you come to the show. In terms of mounting the show, it is, for me, it's always a joy, no matter how much times we do it, to work with the TPAC team. We left Shore Park like 11 last night, and the band is playing, the dancers are performing, the actors are on, and for me, that is where the real magic is, in the process, that you unfortunately do not get to see, but you get to experience it in the one-day product that happens this Friday at Shore Park at 7 p.m.
That's right. And I'm sure, as you said, we get to experience it. We don't get to see the behind the scenes, but the energy that is displayed on the stage, I'm sure patrons are able to connect with that, the
Explosive.
output, because you see the relationships, you see the rehearsals, you see the pains, you see the struggles, and then you see the product in the end, you know. So you're right, it really is an experience.
It's certainly an experience.
For all of us, you know. So I really am looking forward to seeing the production. And you said it's a one time. So is it just once?
Once, one, O-N-E.
Are you sure?
I am.
What
As
if
of
there's-
right now, but remember, Dana, we have to pay for what I could see.
That's right.
So as of right now, it is one time only. And I mean, of course, with all of our works, we try as best as possible because of our mandate to maximize on any work that we build, to take it to as diverse an audience as possible, to take it through the national space and then hopefully of the region and across the world. Because this play was actually done via workshop version in Toronto. So Queen of the Road was actually written by Roma Spencer, who was a student at the Mark Bonham Center, University of Toronto. And they hired TPAC to come to Toronto to develop the workshop of the play.
Right.
And so that was the workshop version, and that was sold out. The response was so unforgettable, so amazing. And then our mandate was also that when the play does premiere, it will premiere on Rose's home soil.
Right.
And that is what is happening this Friday. And that is what people cannot miss.
And this is the stories that we like to hear. We like to hear about all the backstories that lead up to the actual production. So it's paw raising, actually. You're speaking and my paws are raising. So it really is an interesting, it really is, when I tell you substance, I could feel a sense of substance in it. So, you know, we just want to urge, you know, our listening viewers, our listeners and our viewers out there to participate. Get your tickets, you know. We have all the ticket outlets, Shore Park Shore Park Complex, rather, the box office there, and Island Tickets. Right? To get your tickets, you can reserve your tickets. Remember, children under 12,
free,
absolutely
12 and
free.
And students,
And
primary
and secondary school students are free. I need to find a uniform. But I will be purchasing my ticket because this is not something I'd want to miss, you know. So it really is an awesome experience, I'm sure. You know, it's like you're sitting at the edge of your seat.
You will be.
Right?
You will certainly be.
Especially knowing the history and the road to get you guys to where you are. So is there anything else that you want to share that we don't, like something behind the scenes, some little secret or secret ingredient or any little thing that we're not privy to?
What can I share? You may know of the fact that Rose and Sparrow share the same tent, but you may not necessarily know about the fabric of their relationship. And I'm not talking about an intimate relationship, but you have to be there to see how that relationship that Rose has shared with Sparrow over the years as one of the first women of the original Young Brigade Tent, how that unfolds. And you will only be able to see that when you come to Shore Park. I will also say this, if you're looking for an alternative carnival event, because the Calypso Rose musical is essentially a Tobago October carnival event, but a different style. So it falls within that niche category. If you're looking for a wonderful 2-hour-long concert that will keep you at the edge of your seat, that will keep you tapping, that will force you to stand up and to sing, and then to be part of our special end of show surprise for only $100, I don't need to say anything else. You have to be there. 7 p.m. Shore Park this Friday.
But I'm so interested now in the end of show surprise.
I'm not saying anything else, Adana. You're not going to squeeze it out
because
of me.
I mean, there is so much already condensed in this $100, and then there's an end of show surprise. You know, so I'm really, really interested to see what that is about. Ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking with Miss Rayshon Pierre, and we're talking about Queen of the Road, a Calypso Rose musical, which is being produced by TPAC, and it's happening this Friday. This Friday, yes, 20th October, 7 p.m. at the Shore Park Complex, and tickets are only $100. You can purchase your tickets from the box office or Island Tickets. You can also reserve your tickets by calling 750-0692. Remember, children under 12 years old, free. And if you are a student from any school in Trinidad and Tobago, it is absolutely free for you. A carnival event, you know, as an event on our Tobago Carnival calendar. Not something to miss, something you'd want to participate in and experience, because we know, as I said, any production coming from TPAC and the results will show, you know, the proof is there that there is something worth participating in. Anything in closing, Ms. Rachel, that you want to share with our viewers?
If you are interested in coming out for the carnival and you want an opportunity to bring your entire family, mommy, daddy, granny, small man, boy, everybody, every single body, the show has space for every single person, no matter your age, no matter your size, no matter where you come from or where you go to. That is the first thing. The other thing is, if coming to the show will mean that you are part of the history that is the Calypso Rose musical, because like you said, who knows where it will go?
Right.
You don't want it to happen right on your own home, Tobagonian soil, and you stay at home and then wonder. Remember what some of y'all did with Bitter Cassava?
Right.
You wish you saw it. Don't wish. Today's Tuesday. The show is Friday. Come on down to Shore Park. Go to Island Tickets. Get your ticket. And we will see you at 7 p.m. It is worth your visit. It is worth the experience.
Thank you so much, Ray Sean, for giving us that insight into the production that takes place this Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, you are viewing Tobago Updates Television, and we are going to head on over right now into Tobago Notes. But remember, we invite you to continue to stay with us and to share the live, share the live, share the live.
God at the forefront daily, not missing a service, and not using foul languages are some key ingredients to Mr. Stevenson McLeod long life on earth.
I am a Seventh-day Adventist and continuing in it up to now is only because of my sickness. I'm not well, so I can't go to church as I desire. Can't tell the day to use a bad word. I'm trying to control it every day, every moment of the day. I pray to our Heavenly Father. So, to take me to heaven when that time would come.
And out of his daughter's mouth,
Daddy is a very, what I should say, a very consistent person. He isn't somebody who would sway from his standards. For all the years that I've known him, he has been a man very devoted to his family, very devoted to his wife, now deceased, and he has always been devoted to his children.
And even at this age, Mr. Stevenson is still a living example of how life and God are great.
The life I live in today, I must be able to spread it.
Yes.
In other words, tell others about it.
Of course, of course.
And situate that they perform. Perform it.
Yes, ma'am.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
The countdown is on
for the greatest carnival weekend in the world.
It's time for
Tobago Carnival, Friday, October 27th
to Sunday 29th. Come witness the release of the revelry and the ritual of the road in Tobago.
This our wee carnival. This is our wee carnival. It's time
for Tobago Carnival. Ready yourself for the ritual of the road.
Log on to welcometobago.com for more details. Tobago Carnival, Friday, October 27th
to Sunday 29th.
your time and ride on the bike. Take your time and ride on the bike. Take your time and ride on the bike and ride on the bike and ride on the bike. She's loving the ambience of my. Somebody call the ambulance for this chick. I just glong, I don't really quick. That's why she's loving me. Better bet you when you're done, you might walk with a stick. Meanwhile, you bend down, let me see you boom click. Let me beat it up, drug life. I know you're loving me. When coming to I like the plenty. Sit on my riding like a Bentley. Full of that need to empty. Take your time and ride on the bike. Take your time and ride on the bike. Take your time and ride on the bike and ride on the bike and ride on the bike. 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 Ride on the 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 bike.
Mouth-watering fries, salads, combos, and specials galore. Feeling for something to eat? Come and see. Our rotisserie is seasoned to the T. Kicking chicken, masala, and jerk roast. Crispy fries made from scratch. Who do you know can't beat that? Or salads freshly cut and packed. When you taste it, you'll be wanting to come back. So come check us out on number 2 Robinson Street, Uptown Scarborough, Tobago. We open on Saturday nights from 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. Monday to Thursday, we're open from 10 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. and on Friday, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Contact us at 772-7443 and all social media handles at The Rotisserie Factory.
We are going on a new journey. Tobago now has its very own carnival. She like loud music and
Jimmy's Holiday Resorts has 1, 2, and 3 bedroom, fully self-contained apartments located at the heart of Crown Point. Minutes walk to the popular beaches, restaurants, bars, and the airport. Enjoy our amazing amenities such as fully equipped apartments, complete with Wi-Fi, AC, TV, and a pool, and a mini-mart on the compound. Call 639-8292 or 8929. Jimmy's Holiday Resorts is your family's home away from home.
We in Tobago for Carnival with the award-winning band Fog Angels, Juve and Mass.
You don't know it's your boy Young Brother representing for Fog Angels, Big Bad, Juve and Mass Band.
2 days of excitement, 2 days of jam on the road with Fog Angels, Juve and Mass Band.
Push back, baby. Push back and Fog Angels, baby.
We're Tobago's premium, all-inclusive Juve and Mass Band that consist of costume, free drinks, free food, goodie bags, makeup artist, t-shirt cut designer, pre-party, after-party on the beach, live DJs, biggest artists, 40-foot music trucks, tight security, VIP service on the road, and a decade of experience.
Fog Angels now. Take bamboo, gal. Fog Angels, Juve band. Take bamboo, gal. Ha! Fog Angels, Mass Band.
For your premium all-inclusive packages, check Facebook, Instagram, or visit www.fogangels.com or call 492-9454 or 788-5481. Juve and Mass in Paradise. Play safe, play sexy, play Fog Angels.
Fog Angels make you feel it, feel it.
Bad girl from Roxborough, Tobago, but if we go in your day clothes, I rate you. Grew up around good vibes and incense. Grew up in hard times that intense. Shut it as you're reaching at the dance. Use the topic as you're reaching at the dance. My girl, go and drop it as you're reaching at the dance. Making use of your talents when you balance back on the duns. Yes, yes. I know, baby. You want a man who take you serious. Not just beat and leave. You're fed up on the streets. Yes, yes, I know, baby. You want a man who take you serious.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denicia. Let's go, go. It's a brand
Welcome to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad, and the region. With the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine, I am Candace Jackson, and let's get started with the news in 90 seconds. The computerized birth and death certificate system at the Scarborough's Registrar General Office was restored to the staff after a 2-week dispute between senior workers. Chief Secretary Fali Augustine last week informed the Attorney General and the Prime Minister about the issue. The Attorney General said it is seeking legal advice for a quick resolution. Meanwhile, the Central Administrative Services for Tobago, out of the Office of the Prime Minister, confirmed that the public services are available at the Registrar Office, with some services not fully reinstated. The Registrar General's Office in Tobago is actively working on restoring services in other affected areas. Meanwhile, PriceSmart is set to refund customers for unapproved credit card charges, which occurred on October 13th. Our customers noticed these charges over the weekend, and though they were reversed, some received incomplete refunds. However, PriceSmart identified the issue as a technical problem affecting multiple banks and merchants in Trinidad and Tobago. They mentioned fluctuating foreign exchange rates affecting refund amounts. PriceSmart pledged to collaborate with banks to address customer concerns. Meanwhile, the Bankers Association clarified that no cybercrime occurred. It was a processing problem, and they are urgently working on a solution. And finally, in the 2024 budget, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service received $2.93 billion. Out of that allocation, only $1.5 million was allocated for police youth clubs. Opposition MP Khadija Amin addressed the $1.5 million allocated to police youth clubs, emphasizing their role in deterring youth from criminal activities and requesting details on how the funds would be used. Minister Fitzgerald Hines explained that the central government's funding supplements funds raised by the youth clubs. Other MPs argued that more funding is needed for police youth clubs nationwide, as the current allocation is insufficient to adequately support them. And that concludes your news in 90 seconds. And viewers, well, for this morning's show, well, I guess we're going to have some time with you this morning. We have quite a lot to speak about, and I actually want to jump off from that point from the news in 90 seconds about the police and what are the plans for the next fiscal year. Actually, there's quite a lot that happened yesterday in Parliament. Quite a lot that was said in regards to what's going on with national security. whether it be the police, whether it be the fire, whether it be the Coast Guard. So I just want to show you one of just a little clip from the newscast last night in regarding some of what was said as the Standing Finance Committee met in Parliament yesterday, and specifically the area of national security was addressed for Budget 2024.
The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service received a total allocation of $2.93 million in the 2024 budget. This allocation was dissected in Parliament and focused on various topics such as additional recruitment of officers, the allocation for the police youth clubs, and the police vehicles. Reporter Ariana Scipio shares more with us in this story.
MP for Naparima, Rodney Charles, highlighted that training for new recruits received an allocation of $2.5 million last year and estimated at the same figure for this year. He questioned why the allocation was not increased to facilitate the recruitment of more officers set to happen in 2024. Minister of National Security, Fitzgerald Hines, responded by saying that the TTPS has a very healthy training plan for 2023 to 2025. This plan is geared towards their approach to public safety and reducing violent crime.
Various levels of training have been identified to facilitate meaningful improvement in this regard. And I have a list of all of the courses, but just for the citizens who are paying attention to this: accident reconstruction course, advanced methods of crime investigations, anti-kidnapping and human trafficking training.
MP Charles raised concern about the lifespan of police vehicles, noting that they do not reach international benchmarks. He also inquired about maintenance schedules. Minister Hines shared plans by the Ministry of National Security to acquire better vehicles. However, they are aging fleets due to heavy usage and road accidents.
But I would want to say, in my own opinion, we are yet to cover ground in terms of the way we manage and maintain these vehicles.
MP for St. Augustine, Khadija Amin, spoke on the matter of the $1.5 million allocation to police youth clubs. She agreed that these clubs are essential in steering the youth away from a life of crime and asked the minister to share how the monies will be spent. Hines said the funding by the central government is supplementary to funds raised by the youth clubs.
Part of the development is getting the children to understand self-sufficiency, so they raise funds, and this allocation is to keep that going.
Many other MPs believe that there needs to be more funding for police youth clubs across the nation and that the allocation is not sufficient to assist these clubs. Ariana Scipio, Tobago Updates Television News.
Well, of course, quite a lot more was said at the Standing Finance Committee than what was in that little 2.5-minute clip from our reporter, Ariana Scipio. But just to give you a little perspective, because one of the concerns, there was quite a few concerns, as you noted in that story. And one of the concerns was that of the $1.5 million that's being given to all youth clubs in the country. In other words, all the police youth clubs will have to share out of that $1.5 million. Now, when the opposition argued for more money and for changing that allocation, because the police youth clubs have actually proven to be effective amongst the young people in terms of keeping them away from the life of crime or steering them for those young people that have found themselves already on that path. The police youth clubs have actually worked in terms of bringing them back on the straight and narrow path. And so the opposition was arguing that, hey, could we change that allocation? Could we make it bigger so that the youth clubs are better funded and that you might have funding to actually start more youth clubs around, especially in those places that are facing high levels of crime? Well, the minister's response was that, the money is, the youth clubs, if they need more money, it could get supplemented and so on. And that wasn't actually received very well by the opposition MPs, who sometimes work along with the youth clubs in their area, and stated that, a lot of the times the money that they have or the money that they use is that discarded through fundraising. And, they made the point that if the government is serious about addressing crime, you have to treat it at a lot of different areas. And one of them is amongst the young population and making sure that those young people stay out of a life of crime. So, I mean, and that's something that you could consider for yourself. What do you think about it? Should the police youth clubs, and this is like for all of them, this is including the youth clubs. I mean, we know the success of police youth clubs here in Tobago, and especially the Roxbury Police Youth Club, Bell Garden, Charlottesville, Mount St. George, all these police youth clubs in Tobago are doing very well. But 1.5 million is supposed to be shared between Tobago, the youth clubs in Tobago, and the youth clubs in Trinidad. That's quite a lot of them. And, you know, when 1.5, I mean, it might sound like a lot of money, but when that's shared up amongst everybody, it doesn't amount to that much at all. So that was the one concern that was raised. One of the other things that was so interesting from the Minister of National Security is that of how are we going to treat with 1,000 new recruits. So we usually have an annual intake of 300 recruits a year, but we're increasing that by 700 to 1,000 a year, at least for the next year. That was announced in the budget a few weeks ago as one of the government's major crime fighting initiatives to increase the police force by 700 officers in a bid to increase patrols and officers to respond to calls and that sort of thing. However, the opposition noted that the allocation given towards the police academy remains the same. And they was like, well, how are we going to facilitate these new recruits if we're spending the same amount of money for the police academy? And the minister's response was that of, well, you know, there are different areas and so on that the police is trained. In other words, that they're trained not just at the physical location of the police academy, but in other areas around the country. But he wasn't very clear as to how these new recruits would be funded, despite the questions being posed to him. And that's really something interesting. But I mean, it's as though that, you know, we have all these announcements and all these things about how we're going to treat with crime, but we're not really putting the money behind some of these crime fighting measures. And I mean, there was the matter of the vehicles that was brought up. There's like almost 300 vehicles around in the country that is down. And, you know, we say this all the time. Trinidad and Tobago has a major problem when it comes to maintenance of its assets. And year after year, we are not seeing proper plans being put in place to ensure that the maintenance happens, especially when it comes to our equipment and the national security apparatus, vehicles, for one. So the minister promised, again, because we heard him promise in previous years that they're going to fix and they're going to address the maintenance problems, but that's certainly left to be seen. Now, I think I want to pull up another thing that came out of yesterday was that of addressing the damning vessels for the Coast Guard. As you know, Tobago's waters are not properly manned, I would say, because we no longer have a vessel that is stationed here in Tobago. And that's been a very, very serious concern because we've had lots of incidents. And the fishermen would tell you, whenever they go out there and they spot things out there or they run into difficulties, they would call the Coast Guard, as they're supposed to do, but the Coast Guard's response is that they have to wait until Trinidad decides that they can send a vessel up, because we no longer have a vessel here. So I want to pull up the news, a news story from yesterday, just so you can get a little bit of an understanding. So hopefully the director pull up the repair of the 12 damning vessels for you.
Well, the central government has allocated $100 million for the repair of 12 damning vessels for use by the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard. These vessels have been out of commission for several years, hindering the officers from effectively carrying out their duties. The vessels were discussed at the Standing Finance Committee of Parliament. Here's more in this report.
Although it has been proposed previously, the repairs of the 12 damnant vessels will be carried out in fiscal year 2024, according to Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines. Opposition MP Devendranath Tanku pointed out that in fiscal year 2023, $15 million was allocated for the vessel repairs, but only $15,000 was expended. When questioned about this, Hines explained that the evaluation of repairs and the procurement services took longer than anticipated.
We, of course, the procurement of those and the negotiations with the service provider were ongoing, and we are really now at the cusp of it. We have gotten to that place.
The Ministry of National Security has allocated over $100 million for the repair of the 12 damnant vessels. The operations of the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard have been hampered for several years due to the need for repairs on most of their vessels. This situation left Tobago without a vessel based on the island. Interceptors were assigned to Tobago in 2017. However, they have been out of service for approximately 4 years. The repair of interceptors was not included in the draft estimates for fiscal 2024. But according to Hines, the repair of the damnant vessels will benefit the entire country.
So we will do that. And insofar as their deployment is concerned, that is a matter that will be left to those who are more technically and legally competent so to do. Suffice it to say that I am confident that with the resailing and utilization of those 12 vessels, it should logically, and we anticipate, take us a long way to improving our border security.
Regarding the reasons why the Coast Guard's almost entire fleet of the damnant vessels is in need of repairs, Minister Hines explained that it is due to natural wear and tear.
And as vessels go, they would need upgrade, maintenance, and this allocation is in anticipation of that.
However, the minister did not address future maintenance of the vessels to prevent reoccurrence of the situation where the majority of Coast Guard vessels are out of service for repairs. Candace Jackson, Tobago Updates, Television News.
Okay, you know what's very interesting is that one of the new Cape class vessels, that was obtained just a couple years ago, is named after Scarborough, and the question was asked when those two vessels came into the country, if one would be stationed in Tobago. However, the Minister of National Security said no, that those two vessels are just ones to patrol around the country. It's not for a specific area, because the whole point was to have the smaller vessels be stationed at various points, and then the larger Cape class vessels, the supporting vessels, to go literally all around the country and to respond more in deeper waters. Well, every now and again we see the Coast Guard vessel here in Tobago, but we continually are plagued with the fact that we don't have a proper vessel around here in Tobago. Recently, there was a drowning that happened in Pigeon Point, and it was very unfortunate. But the Coast Guard didn't have a vessel to go and look for the body, so instead they used fishermen. And one of the divers, Mr. Alvin Douglas, they used his vessel actually to go and recover the body. And this has been the situation for quite some time, because I don't know if you remember, probably about 4 years ago, one of the interceptors that was given to Tobago actually encountered a problem, and it sort of sank. Didn't quite sink. It was kind of partially submerged underwater. We're not quite sure what happened because the information did not get out there. We saw the pictures, and unfortunately, those images are actually scrubbed from the internet, because I actually was looking for them a few days ago and couldn't find them anywhere. But that interceptor has not returned to Tobago. But yet we have the minister, the MP for Tobago East, Miss Ayanna Webster Roy, boasting about the fact that Tobago's borders are protected because there are supposed to be interceptors here, but they're not. And the interceptors was not addressed by the minister. in the budget. Only the repair of 12 dammed vessels. And if you want to understand like how bad the situation is, if you ever go down to Stowell's Bay in Chagaramas, you would see all the Coast Guard vessels that are parked up there, and they've all been down for various issues, and they've been just allowed to just sit there. And I happen to know that a lot of the Coast Guard officers have complained. I mean, they constantly reach out and be like, yo, we can't do our jobs properly because we don't have access to vessels. So the minister said that there is a $100 million allocation in this year's budget for the repair of those, at least 12 of the vessels, the dammed vessels specifically. And those are the ones that are a little bit larger than the interceptors. But he didn't give a timeline as to when those repairs would be completed or even when they would begin. So which means that we are going to be in a situation for quite some time. And it's kind of, it's interesting that, you know, it's taken us so long to fix this problem when we are two small islands. In the grand scheme of things, we are two small islands, and we have so many problems in terms of how drugs and guns, illegal guns and ammunition and stuff like that get into the country. And we have the problems with immigration, illegal immigration and so on. But yet we have been so slow and not proactive enough into making sure that those things are being put in place to properly man. Because could you imagine? So, and the minister gave the figure of fixing 12 dammed vessels. And it's my information that there's actually more than 12 vessels that are down for repairs. So it's quite a few, quite a few of them. But can you imagine if we had those vessels up, you know, I mean, and he gave the Coast Guard officers what they needed to properly do their job, how much more secure it would be? Well, and this has been something that's been happening for several years. So, you know, especially in the last 5 years, we encountered so many problems with the Coast Guard, 5-6 years with the Coast Guard vessels. And there's been that reluctance to fix it, and there's been the reluctance to even address some of the maintenance issues, because again, the reasons why these vessels went down is because of maintenance issues. The minister said that it was natural wear and tear. And he's not wrong, because yes, it's a machine, it's a mechanical thing, and after some time it ends up being in need of repair. But then where is the maintenance structure to ensure that when there's a problem, these vessels can be fixed, whether it needs parts and that sort of thing, making sure that there is an allocation for repairs, like just general repairs. I mean, do these vessels get dry docked? You know, all of these things like need to be answered and need to be addressed in a holistic way. And we really need the government to pay attention to these things, because when we see what's going on in the country with the rising crime and so on, and we see what's happening even in Tobago, a lot of it is coming over to Tobago. And these are all ways in which, whether it's through the police youth club, making sure the Coast Guard have what they need, making sure the police have what they need. These are all ways that we can make sure that, you know, at least we can minimize the amount of crime that can happen. We can't eliminate crime, but we can definitely minimize it. And there's lots of things that we can do better. And I think it takes the government being a little bit more real with the realities, and real with their, I wouldn't say failures, but real with their lack of being able to address these things in the necessary time. All right, so we're going to go for a quick break and we'll be back, so please don't go anywhere.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning.
Inner Health, number 13B, Portmore, Scarborough, Tobago, with over 25 years experience, offering services in and not limited to microscopic blood analysis, reflexology, and the sale of a wide range of organic herbal products used to supplement thyroid, lymphatic, heart, kidney, and brain health, and the male and female reproductive systems. Come and chat with us. Remember, your health is your wealth.
The countdown is on
for the greatest carnival weekend in the world.
It's time for
Tobago Carnival. Carnival. Friday, October 27th
to Sunday 29th. Come witness the release of the revelry and the ritual of the road in Tobago.
This our wee carnival.
This is our wee carnival.
It's time
for Tobago Carnival. Ready yourself for the ritual of the road.
Log on to welcometobago.com for more details. Tobago Carnival, Friday, October 27th
to Sunday 29th.
LP, just chat. Any drink by the bar, give me plenty. Calibre liquor shot at the century. Look, now the thing start. Me love me drinks to me heart and me send shots.
Tapicom. Welcome to the future. The only card you will need in a new world. Digital business cards. Safe, hassle-free. The future is here. Tapicom. New generation digital transfer. Digital time clock cards. Digital attendance cards. Air tags. Customized designs. Digital clothing tags. Digital pet tags. Tapicom. The future is here. Contact us today.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denise.
Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Viewers, I want to start off this segment by speaking to just a word of caution for those of you who are out on the road today, especially near Orchid-Skewer. Just a notice from teamers stating that please be advised that the Orchid-Skewer Buku Bay Road from Montgomery Junction to Buku traffic light is currently closed to vehicular traffic. Drivers are urged to utilize alternative routes until the road is reopened. And I believe this is in connection with the painting that's happening, where they are changing the intersection to turn into Republic Bank, because this morning when I passed through there this morning, they were actually lining out where they have to do the repainting and so on. So folks, so if you're going in the Republic Bank area, that in Orchid-Skewer, traveling that route, just know that's going to be closed for some time, and there's no time as to when it would be reopened, but just know that you can't use that route for now. All right, great. So, so viewers, now we are getting into some conversations about World Food Day, because and if you know, we in Tobago like to do World Food Day big. So the theme for this year is what is life, what is food, leave no one behind. And we are being joined by Dr. Paul Crooks, who is going to be talking to us about, World Food Day. So good morning and welcome to you, Dr. Crooks. How are you doing?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Sorry that I couldn't be there in studio this morning.
That's fine. But we're glad that you can still join us regardless. Now, tell me a bit, because, we're doing things a little bit differently this year. So we're still having that exhibition, but it's going to be in a little bit of a smaller scale, happening at the Food Hub starting from tomorrow.
So we are officially open on Wednesday and Thursday, tomorrow and the following day, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I don't know if it's necessarily fair to say it's a smaller scale. We definitely have fewer tents than we had in prior years. But we just last night went over our list of persons who applied to be part of our World Food Day. And the majority of persons we were able to accommodate. The division and some collaborating entities are going to be contained within the Food Hub itself, under the covered area. We're going to have food vendors, artisanal persons, and so on outside of those areas, and we're going to occupy the entire car park area with tents. So we're going to have this year a brand new aquaponics display. We're going to have our traditional livestock display as well as our wildlife display. So for 2023, we're going to have everything that we've had in prior years and new things. So again, it's not necessarily that we're looking at a smaller scale product. We're looking at a very similar product to prior years, and we are looking at a more condensed, I want to say focused approach this year.
All right, great. And I want to talk about the theme a little bit. You know, what is life? What is food? Leave no one behind. How are we incorporating that theme into this year's exhibition?
Well, there are a few ways. One is that, of course, we are more dynamic this year than we've been before. Water is ever changing. Water flows in different courses. We know that water is both destructive and creative. And when we decided that we would be moving from the traditional location of the parade grounds to the food hub, the understanding and thought process was that we are going to be dynamic, and we want to, not only are we going to display the theme proudly on entry, where we'll have our fisheries team showing deboning of fish and various other forms of fish preparation, smoked fish and so on, right as you enter the Food Hub Grand Exhibition location. But we're going to have aquaria and so on to showcase this is what fisheries is about. But also, as I said, if we look more metaphorically, we are looking at water changing, water evolving, water creating, water making things new. And accordingly, we are focused this year less on a fair type, market type setup, which will still be there, but we want to encourage farmers to grow. We don't want to leave anyone behind. For this year, we're going to include our incentives unit, business development unit. We're pushing that farmers can make their businesses into thriving businesses, into growing businesses with branding and marketing and with financial support. And this year, we're really pushing education and business development as our theme.
Now, what is there in store in terms of, you know, helping farmers understand how to better use or get water in a way to or at least sustainably use water in terms of growing their crops? Because we are in a situation where the temperatures are getting hotter and we're getting less rainfall, especially for this year. We had quite a lot of rainfall last year, but this year we do have less, and it's been very hot.
Oh yeah, we've been dealing with drought conditions, and I mean, it may not seem like droughts because we live in the tropics and we get rain every 5 days, but it's so hot that the water evaporates so rapidly that in the dry season in particular, the ground becomes parched, dry, and hard within just 2 or 3 days, even though you've just had tons of rainfall and the ground was just waterlogged. So with that in mind, and with the increasingly high temperatures and reduced rainfall, we have to apply water conservation techniques. For the livestock part of it, which I can speak to directly, we have someone coming to demonstrate silage. What is silage? Silage is a forage preservation technique, so that we've had a lot of livestock farmers who would sell out their lambs, sell out their goats at the start of the dry season because they simply can't care for that number because they know they're not going to have enough feed. Silage allows, and that's a technology that embraces the preservation of forage for those dry conditions, for those periods where forage is not available. So we're going to have silage production on display so that people can learn about silage and how they could perhaps use silage at home and produce silage at home. But also we're going to have all of our various entities, all of the divisions, various sections, displaying strategies for sustainable development of farms. So not just are we going to be talking about finances and so on, but sustainable development in terms of waste management and of water conservation techniques. We recognize that that is extremely important, and that is included this year.
All right, great. And, you know, what are some of the other things that we can look forward for this year at the World Food Day exhibition?
Well, I already mentioned that we'll have aquaponics and hydroponics display. Those are aquaponics and hydroponics, for people who don't know, those are technologies that use little or no soil whatsoever. In the case of aquaponics, nutrients for the growth of lettuce and some other special types of plants that are able to grow in that way, nutrients are derived from fish and the fish feces and their excreta. The fish produce nutrients that are utilized by plants, and the plants are grown out of pipes where it's just water that's providing the nutrients, so that the plants themselves don't need any soil. It allows that you can grow vertically, and you can, of course, use less land. And this is part of the future of agriculture, because we're using waste from fish, and we're using little soil, and we're going vertically so that you can have more food production in a smaller area. And so people who have just a small backyard, just a ceiling, or a roof or so that they could access, these people may be able to set up aquaponic displays, their aquaponics setups, and grow their own food at home. And that's one of the ways that we are embracing water is life, water is food, leave no one behind, because we want people to understand that there are new technologies that allows everyone to grow their own, and that allows cheap, sustainable, with limited water, access to and production of food, and good, safe food. So that's one of the ways. So that's a brand new thing. Of course, we're going to have our equipment displays. We're going to have persons from various like Massey, ANSA, displaying vehicles, that sort of thing. We're going to have financial companies there like FCB, ADB, who will be on hand to tell you how they can help you grow your business. And of course, we're still going to have tons of food, local foods, local snacks. We're going to have lots of produce on sale. We won't have plants on sale because of the giant African snail scourge, but that will be coming in its own show.
Now, would there be any sort of educational exercises happening, teaching people how to address the giant African snail? Because unfortunately, it's becoming a widespread problem in Tobago.
Yeah, we will have a plant protection unit display where there will be documentation about the giant African snail, how to recognize the giant African snail, the number to call if you think you've seen the giant African snail, as well as the various strategies that can be employed for the management of giant African snail, because we recognize it is a huge problem on the island. I have snails right in my yard now, unfortunately. So we've been seeing more and more cases of giant African snail across the island. We've had now possibly about 8 to 10 locations on the island where we have had infestations. We had one in Lambo for over 10 years. We have not been able to eliminate even at that site. So it is something that will take a long time, and we all have to work together.
Well, it seems as though every time that we try to make some strides in the field of agriculture, there's always these problems, whether it just be the climate, whether it just be pests or diseases that keep trying to, put a stumbling block in our progress.
Oh yeah, last week I was fortunate enough to be part of the Caribbean Week of Agriculture in the Bahamas. And at that Caribbean Week of Agriculture, there were chief vets from across the region. We had ministers of agriculture from across the region, representatives from the Food and Agriculture Organization, from the United Nations Food Program, so U.S. Department of Agriculture, with all of these agencies there, and with the political will and power that was in that meeting or in those meetings, we had discussions about adaptations to climate change. How is it that we can ensure that our region is food secure with all of the challenges that are coming? What happens in the case of hurricanes? So what we learned, for example, is that there is a regional insurance scheme that is growing in popularity that supports the governments. The governments can pay into this insurance scheme. And in the case of certain natural events, natural phenomena, these insurance schemes can pay out immediately on the occurrence of the natural event, and then after assessment of farms and so on, they can pay to each individual farmer. So their monies can come to the government straight away, so we can try to make things right. But it's across the region, it's across the world. We've been trying to think of ways to adapt, learn, grow. We may have to change the types of forage we grow. We may have to look at different breeds, more resilient breeds. These are the kinds of strategies that we have to think about. So even that silage that I mentioned, because I am in charge of the livestock aspect, so I could tell you some details there. But even that silage production is part of our adaptation strategies for climate change. But of course, the world is becoming more and more globalized. So how do we ensure that diseases from Panama don't make it to Trinidad and Tobago? How do we stop persons illegally smuggling things in? But at the same time, how do we make it easier for food from Tobago to make it to Dominica, or for food grown in Haiti to come to Barbados? How do we make that easier when it's done well and done correctly, but also how do we make it more difficult to prevent new diseases coming in? So these are a lot of challenges that we have to face across the region, but we've been trying to deal with them in that way.
All right. And, what are some of the other things that we can look forward to? Because I know that World Food Day is not just centered around those 2 days, which is tomorrow and Thursday. I kind of forgot the days of the week for a second. But anyways, could you just give us an idea of, some of the other plans that are happening that are World Food Day related that will occur after the 2-day exhibition?
Sure. So we still have our horticulture event, which should be on November 7th. And at that horticulture event, all plants will be sold. The reason that we're going that route, as I had mentioned earlier, was because of giant African snail primarily. So we're going to ask people to come this Sunday, November 5th, and sell all their plants as if it's ready for sale from that Sunday. Then we're going to have our staff come in and treat the plants to make sure the plants have no live giant African snails. And then the plants will actually go on sale from Tuesday, so that the plants are treated, one, so that there are no giant African snails, but two, also safe to handle, safe to carry home, so that persons are not exposed to any pesticides at that time. So we have that strategy now for handling the giant African snail. So unfortunately, you won't be able to get plants at this year's Grand Exhibition, but you will get them at the horticulture market coming up on November 7th. So that's one way that we change, and that's one thing that's happening after. For the Lamb Festival, we were planning to do some competitions that unfortunately we could not get done at the time. So we had mentioned that we wanted to do a video competition for junior farmers who are 18 to 30 years old, as well as a video competition for all women farmers, regardless of age, where the farmers would tell us about why they chose livestock farming, what's rewarding in it for them, what were the challenges they faced, how they overcame those challenges. So that competition is going to occur after World Food Day. As well, we're going to have a competition on housing design, on organic waste management, where people they don't have to construct anything, but they have to design something on paper and submit that. So we have those competitions occurring after World Food Day. And finally, we also have competitions for 4-H, a school competition that will occur from November and go throughout the next year up to the following World Food Day. So those are some of the events we have. We also have various seminars and so on. Again, that will be through targeted marketing. We'll have seminars occurring throughout the month of November.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's great to see that the 4-H initiative is coming along. Can you just give us an update on how has that been, especially coming out of COVID and so on, and getting it reinvigorated?
Well, that's part of the challenge, right? For World Food Day this year, we did want to really incorporate 4-H. Unfortunately, we didn't have an officer who was able to take that further for this year's Grand Exhibition. but we now have an officer who will be handling 4-H going forward. So we really plan to get back into schools, work alongside our teachers, and continue to push 4-H. Of course, we had a number of other events before. We had a school poetry and spoken word competition earlier in September, and that was a way to include our students in both primary and secondary schools. So we didn't neglect or forget our students. Of course, there will be also a big educational component at World Food Day for children. So we have school kids coming in throughout both days. They will get to see animals they've never seen before. They'll get to learn about the different sexes, the different names of species. They'll get to learn about the types of products that animals give off. While they're farmed, the names of the various types of meat. So these are some of the ways that we plan to incorporate students. But now that 4-H, we have a 4-H officer back in place, we really plan to push forward by getting into schools, interacting with students, pushing the 4-H clubs, and developing agriculture in the minds of our children.
All right, great. And I mean, just before we go, Dr. Crooks, I just want to give the information about tomorrow's events tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday. Sorry, getting the days mixed up again in my head. But yeah, just so the public is aware.
All right. So tomorrow and Thursday are the World Food Day Grand Exhibition days. We are open officially from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on both days. There are a variety of activities to appeal to everyone from every walk of life, whatever your interest may be. We are asking that people pay particular attention to the change in venue this year. We were at the parade grounds for several years prior, but for this year, we are going to be at the Shore Park Food Hub. The Shore Park Food Hub is located between the Spring Garden gas station and the Shore Park Cultural Complex. Parking will be at the Shore Park Cultural Complex, and you will have to cross. We'll have police presence. It'll be very safe. You'll have to cross over to the Food Hub location. And then from there, you can walk around. We'll have many vendors selling local products, locally made foods. We'll have many persons displaying equipment. We'll have cooked food. We'll have baked goods. We're going to have fresh produce. Everything that you could imagine except for plants associated with agriculture and food and food production will be available at the Grand Exhibition. So there will be something for everyone. As well, we're going to have live animals displayed, breeds of various types of small ruminants, of rabbits, different species of poultry. We're going to have a wildlife display. We're going to have new technologies displayed like aquaponics and hydroponics. We're going to have water conservation techniques being taught. We're going to have cultural items throughout the day. We're going to have demonstrations of cocoa production, farine production. So there's just a lot that's going to be happening. So when you come down to the World Food Day event, you never even have to leave. Just lime whole day, plenty things happening.
All right, great. Now, I want to thank you so much, Dr. Crooks, for being on with us this morning and for giving us an idea of what we can expect for this year. It's going to be a little bit different this year, but still going to be the same World Food Day magic that we all know and love. And I know that certainly a lot of people always look forward to it in Tobago. So thank you again for being on.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, viewers, so there you have it. Just make sure to check out what's happening tomorrow and Thursday. And just before we get ready to go, I just, of course, want to remind you of just some traffic restrictions which are in place. And this is at Okinskyo Junction. And, of course, this is from TEMA. Please be advised that the Okinskyo Buku Bay Road is closed to vehicular traffic. The situation has arisen due to a vehicular accident in the vicinity, resulting in debris remaining on the road. We have promptly alerted the appropriate authorities, and efforts are currently underway to clean up and address the situation. So motorists are being advised to seek alternative routes until the situation is rectified. So viewers, if you're going to be passing through that area this morning, just be aware that that you should probably find an next route. Plan to get to your destination, right? Until the authorities can sort of clear things up for you. All right, viewers, so thank you for being with us. It was a pleasure being on with you, and I hope you have a safe and wonderful day, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.